Welcome. I'm Lyric Armstrong, the president of Consolidated Board of Realtists. I have the greatest pleasure to serve this organization in many capacities. But my one big honor is sitting here with the one and only Dr. Thom Holmes. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. I know that you've probably done many things with Realtists, but for those who are coming in brand new, give us a little history as to who Dr. Thom Holmes is.
Thank you so much, Madam President. It is a groundswell joy and a signal honor for me to be here and share with you whatever we may have. I am over much glad, among other adjectives, to be here with you in particular. You're one of our shining stars in the movement.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
We look forward with great anticipation and lofty expectation to your movement, watching and tracking it.
To God be the glory. I'm glad you have that foresight.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Holmes, I can probably write a book myself of all the wonderful things that I've heard about you, but I know that you were first vice president of Consolidated, but what other roles did you play at Consolidated before moving up?
I was first vice president also of KRAD.
Okay.
Okay. When I came in, I was hungry and aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I came in after spending 9.5 years in aerospace engineering.
Aerospace engineering?
Aerospace engineering.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more about that.
For three of the major aerospace firms, Douglas, Lockheed, and of course, since now, it's Boeing now.
Yeah.
And I was always the first engineer here, the first black here, and the first. I have always been amazed by business. We were property owners down in Arkansas, growing up as kids, and entrepreneurship has always been in my blood. And we own land, so that was common to our early childhood. And we always wanted to get back there. And real estate presented an opportunity for us to do so. And we took advantage of that by preparing ourselves, walked out on engineering into real estate, took our license examinations and met a wonderful real estate broker, and who trained me well, etc., we think. And he was a member of Consolidated Realtist Board, and if you worked in his office, you would also join the Realtist movement. And I took advantage of that. And my first day of coming here, I was sold. Okay, back in January of 1973.
Well, okay, but you were in Western, weren't you? Western Adams?
No.
So you were here?
Yes.
Okay.
We purchased this building in 1972.
Okay. All
we
right.
purchased this building in 1972, and I came here in 1973.
Okay, excellent.
Yes. And I've been here since.
Well, awesome. Now, you said it was a family tradition, or it just was, that you would own real estate, that you would have ownership in the land.
Yes.
There was no conversation around it at any time that you remember as a child?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was conversation. We did not wasn't fortunate enough to get our 40 acres and our mule, but we were able to. My grandparents was able to secure a good mass of land.
Okay.
200 acres.
All right, all
Okay.
right.
And that's where I grew up on.
Okay,
Okay.
excellent. And when you came to California, it just was not a second thought. You were going to get into real estate and purchase.
When I came to California, I was preceded here by three of my older siblings,
Oh, okay.
and I needed to relocate and get away from the South.
Okay.
In
No worries.
1963, the professional opportunities was quite restricted.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a preacher, or you could be a Sunday school teacher, a school teacher. And I didn't see myself as being either of those.
Mm-hmm.
So they advanced my scope and to take advantage of where I thought I wanted to go. We headed out west,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been here ultimately since.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you know this, but there's this thing called real estate mindset. And for every home fair, every webinar, seminar that we're doing in the community, we're trying to get our audience mindset on ownership. Now, for me, I'm something like what you said. It's second nature. It's like you grow up, you buy a house, it's something you do. Get married, have kids. Like it's just the part of progression. But there is a mindset adjustment in this space right now. And in that regard, what would you say to those young people that say, I want to rent and just call up the landlord every time something's an issue?
Well, that mindset perhaps worked well for some of them
Okay.
initially. But what I can tell them, under all is the land.
Mm-hmm.
He who controls the land controls the activity thereupon.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that 40 years ago, et cetera, et cetera. And some may never know that. But it is also real estate, the ownership of real estate is one of the most progressive routes to assure generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
It's through real estate.
Very good. Yeah.
Through real estate. There's
Mm-hmm.
no secret to that. And a testimony to that, my first house I sold probably $15,000 back in 1973. I need not bore you with the number that house would bring today. Okay, so that's
Just add a couple zeros.
that's
3 or 4.
testimonial to the transformation of generation wealth. And black predominance of wealth is was always in real estate based upon the ownership of their local home.
Mm-hmm.
Those who own real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Many families subsequently use real estate to put the kids through college and other means for themselves. Even today.
Excellent, yeah.
Even today, it's the most foolproof, without a lot of expertise. Those who own real estate and have owned it for a while are substantially more wealthy than those who are still renting, notwithstanding their personally love of renting.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you remember a time when ownership was the qualifier for voting, the right to vote?
I remember the time, but I wasn't a part of it.
You wasn't a part of the time, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
They had poll tax, but we could always vote.
Okay.
Okay, we didn't have to count the beans in a jar.
Okay.
And in other ways, my dad was a politician. He was the head of the Lost Prairie Township,
Okay.
which was, as a matter of fact, he was the chairman of the Lost Prairie Township. So we were always in politics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was always a part of me, and he was quite astute at working the political system. Notwithstanding, we were down in the Jim Crow South. Okay, he knew where we were, and he worked the system proficiently.
Okay, excellent. So you have great legacy,
Yes.
right?
Yes, sir.
Good,
No,
very
sir.
good.
Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir.
That's right.
He worked well.
That's
He
good.
worked well.
Now, with all of that, we have probably redefined ourselves, defined ourselves, shortened our messaging, and I know that we stand for democracy in housing. We're in pursuit of democracy in housing. We fight for democracy in housing. But what would you say to anyone new coming on the scene? What do they need to know is the identity of a realtist?
What would they know about the identity of a realtist? Realtist is a special breed. It has changed a bit during my 52 years. Matter of fact, it has changed a lot. Okay. There are many today in real estate may not recognize the need and I would say the requirement of a realtist. Okay, many of us, our youngsters, they have quote unquote always been free. Even here in Los Angeles.
If we compare the history, yeah.
History. There are areas that you were not welcome. There are areas that you close by that you could not get a conventional loan or even insurance.
Right.
Here.
This very building is in a sundown state, man. Don't be outside after a certain hour.
Yes.
So thankfully the times have changed.
Times have changed. So as a result of that, many may have the notions, well, I can go over here and do what I need to do, perhaps, but you are always, and probably in my lifetime, you will always be an African American. And it just so happens that as an African American, our need, our tradition, and our history will always be different from others. Notwithstanding, you can pay your dues and work someplace else, etc.
Yeah. And I always appreciate the fact that if it wasn't for the Realtist organization, you wouldn't have had that fight so that you could go somewhere else and pay your dues and be something else. So you might as well pay homage and support the mission for the next generation to come, as so many, 75, 77 plus years, so many decades of people have come before us to ensure that this was an opportunity we can take advantage of.
I have advanced information to many of those. Whether you pay dues to a realtist or no, you owe a great deal of homage to the efforts of realtors.
Definitely.
Without question.
Yeah, without question. So, if you could put together a vision statement, what would you envision for the local level, Consolidated Board of Realtists, aka Consolidated Realty Board, for the next 10 years? What do you want to come out of this organization within 10 years?
Interesting that you mentioned. Very interesting you mentioned. I had a conversation with our national president a couple weeks ago with regards to the current situation there in the Democratic Party with our own Miss Kamala Harris. And we were kicking some things around about how we could support her and not verbally, openly, and not jeopardize our charter, which we cannot. And as you would mention, a day or so after that, Vice President Harris came forward with a solid statement regarding housing. And in that statement, she mentioned that her goal, her promise would be that she would like to see and would encourage and do whatever necessary to produce 3 million additional homeowners within the next 4 years. Well, and she offered a special glaze of financing, $24,000 initially for first-time homeowner.
Right.
That provides an opportunity for us in urban America, which primarily our business is in urban America. That's where we live. We need to be on the point, early point, of assisting the new administration. I'm being a good bit presumptive.
It's all right. What they say, speak it into existence.
Yes,
right?
yes. I speak it.
There we go.
I speak it. Okay. That we are positioned to make a difference, and it's really interesting. Now, to show you the foresight of realtors. Probably 5-6 years ago, our own President Cooper, his theme.
Yep. 2 million and five.
2 million and 5.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
2 million and 5. Well, President Harris said 3 million and 4.
Listen, just get there.
Just get there. Yeah.
Right.
So that opportunity, as soon as September the 6th, we can jump out there big time with our support and our encouragement for the quintessence of that thesis.
Yeah, definitely. So we would definitely be able to support any housing improvements because we do have an industry.
A shortage of housing.
That's right, everywhere.
Affordable housing.
Yes, agreed.
And you can't have a great nation if the nation can't house its inhabitants.
Yeah.
We must have housing, affordable housing.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned past President Ron Cooper, and as we know, he is past president of a couple things, but I believe you mean as past president from National Association of Real Estate Brokers.
And the past president of Consolidated.
Yeah. But you also are past president of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. Tell us how that ascension came about.
Well,
I'm not starting that. I just want to know.
Past president and fortunate. I was eager. I was hungry. I am still the youngest to become president of NAREL by a number of years.
Okay.
At 39. That was one of my.
You were 39.
39.
Yes, you are still the youngest.
I am still the youngest. I saw an opportunity.
Excellent.
I was on the ladder for the state, first vice president, and the opportunity presented itself. I was visible. I had ideals. I was a small town country boy that was culturally proud, but I was hungry. And I jumped in and threw my hat in and my work in had received me, of course. Okay. And we were anointed. We were installed in Los Angeles, August 5th, 1985. Okay. And since that time, I became a life member then. Okay? Because of some other reason, just because I was past president, that didn't make me a life member.
Okay.
But there was a special category for that. And we performed. We performed. And we were able to do some things that's many of them still around. And I can articulate a few of them.
Please do.
If that
Yes.
makes any sense. We established quarterly White House meetings on minority business development and economic opportunities in real estate. What does that mean? We had special meeting every month with the White House. Not just the White House, but top staff in the West Wing. And after our meetings, we would have dinner in the President's Mess Hall to advance our cause. We negotiated MBDA grants to sustain our positioning as far as to our local office in Washington, D.C. We moved from Georgia Avenue down to K Street, 2 blocks from the White House. As I mentioned an old note here, we were able to establish our headquarters with 8 employees. We established and gained board approval for 4 new NARAB affiliates.
Which 4? Do you remember?
Yes, I do. NID.
Okay.
Sales Associate. Commercial Industrial, and the Sales Associate.
All right. Okay. Excellent.
And one other thing that's very, very significant, I think, for the first time in the history of our race and organization, we negotiated opportunities for realtors to market directly Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac housing, REOs. Before that time, none of us could sell those properties. We had to co-mate with somebody else and co-list with them at best, but we couldn't get direct listings.
Okay. So you definitely made a change within the industry.
We made a big change in the industry. That was economic. We put bread on realtors' table and enabled realtors' family to send their kids and afford to send their kids to historical black colleges in bigger numbers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Which again is very popular now.
Yeah, now.
Notwithstanding.
No, you are right.
You know, the notion that we had to do something else, but now, the youngsters now in bigger numbers than ever.
I'm really appreciating it now.
Headed to historical black universities, colleges and universities.
Yeah.
So that was there.
I definitely appreciate that, because one of the things I told my children is like, you will never get the better connection than going to a historical black college. You want to do your graduate's degree somewhere else, fine. Get your foundation with a historic black college, okay?
Oh my God.
Your people are there.
Yes, indeed. Howard, my 3 daughters, he got a lot of, this goes back in the 80s and 90s and even year 2000, my baby. The Howard Bison.
Howard.
And the little girl, she went on to the George Washington.
All right.
But once she got what Howard gave her,
that's all right.
had to go.
Yeah, I'm from D.C., so Howard was our stomping ground.
Oh, yeah. Georgia Avenue, Northwest.
Very good. So, understanding that it was in the 80s that you were president of NARAB, is there anything that you could speak to relative to the housing discrimination, maybe even before then, that you were aware of?
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sure.
Give us some landscape as to what we were dealing with.
I gave you one already.
With the REOs.
The biggest, the biggest owner of houses. We're not bigger than Fannie and Freddie.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't get direct listings from them.
Mm-hmm.
But we were able to deal with that during those times here in Los Angeles. Things had softened a good bit then, but there was still some times that, and I've heard Ms. Reed talk about, even there in Ladera, she had some challenges from time to time, etc., where discrimination was more than economic. Okay, it was racial. But we studied the course. As a result of that, Realtist started making strong overtures toward us. They wanted us to do a lot more things with them, etc., 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 etc. But I was always kind of proud of who we were and what we did, and we did things together. As a matter of fact, Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, and many papers documented the fact that we assisted them in many ways with this legislation that we're talking about here, that Fair Housing Act there. We worked with them on that one, but that was on a platform basis. They needed access to Secretary of HUD. They didn't have it, we did. So as a result of that, we did a quid pro with them. If you assist us over here, we talk about everything here, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that was always the case.
Okay.
But the Realtors has always been the Realtors. Okay. I understand.
Yeah. Understood. So interesting, you talk about Ladera. I don't know if you remember my mother-in-law, Holleen Armstrong. But
Colleen Armstrong?
Holleen, she moved
I
into.
knew her.
Yeah, that's my mother-in-law.
Her office was down on Centennial.
Exactly.
She was a member here.
Yeah, exactly. She brought me here originally. Her and Ladera's
Salina, yes.
So she and my father-in-law bought their house in View Park in early 70s, I think it was. And even then, a few years after 68's Fair Housing Act, there was still racial divides and get out here and leave and so forth and so on. So it's always been one of those things where, for me, if you did nothing else, you were a realtist just to get the numbers to ensure that the voice is loud enough to continue the mission. And I hope others will do the same. But in your opinion, how did the mission or the goals of the organization influence maybe other minority associations?
A lot. During my administration, we were able to partner with a number of historical black organizations. We signed MOUs. Started with the National Negro Business League, whom we were formed out of.
Right.
Back in 1947. Well, the league was formed in 1901 by Dr. Booker T. Washington. We had MOUs with the National Bar Association, the National Black Accountants, the National MBAs. Oh my God, and the term national denoted black in America, denoted white. Okay, so everything had a national in front of it. I went after them.
And no one knows that now because they just think that means the nation in and of itself. No, that meant something totally different.
It's a matter of fact, there's a story on that one. And this was before my time. I take no credit for this.
Okay.
We
we forced the realtors to change their name. See, they were the National Association of Real Estate Boards, and we came in National Real Estate Brokers with the same idioms there, et cetera, et cetera. And they tried to sue us to get them to change ours, and we didn't. So they ended up changing theirs from the National Association of Real Estate Boards to Realtors. Now,
help them change a little bit
of
everything.
We help them out a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Well, excellent. Now, is there anything a realtist should know about the time you joined, whether consolidated or NAREL? What's one of the important things they should take away?
Well, you know, there is so much the greatest honor for me being a realtist is to establish the legacy that we have.
Yeah.
Okay, to let these youngsters know that, okay, you're okay now. You may be close to being free than you were, but freedom ain't free.
Right. Every price.
Freedom is not free. And one other piece that is spiritual for me. Look around this board here. You see, right now I believe we're in the Ellen Aubrey's auditorium.
Yep.
All of our rooms are memorialized, designed to memorialize our predecessors. Okay. Important. The complex Wallace R. Bailey Realtist Complex. Important. I was an integral part of that.
Okay.
That was 20 years ago.
Okay.
At the national level, we have awards. We have the QB Williamson, the Willis Carson, and we just went on and on and on. I was on the point for that.
Okay.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And why, and what does that do? It memorializes the giants that we stand on their shoulders. Memorializes them. Okay, et cetera. They even was kind enough to name one award in honor of me, and it embarrassed me every time they give it. Yeah, some said, well, you know, you're supposed to be, dead before you get that type of honor.
Well, that's messed up.
I didn't give it that year. But the bottom line, all of those awards and name and honor of our people, including the rooms here, there's a reason for all that. We did that. On the point of that, I should say. With some opposition. With some opposition. Because we were told, not on that NAREL, which we did before, but in here, well, you need to be dead by 5 years before one should receive that honor.
You ain't gonna be here to see it, so what's the point of that?
And my thing was always, Madam President, give me mine while I can see it.
Exactly.
Et cetera, et cetera. But the role that the contemporary role for you fine folks is a couple of things that we gave earlier, because things are so different now. Things are so different. Technology is so important, etc. Where you guys are, etc. And you got to know that now. And they loading you up on the requirements and so on. They loading you up, And,
yeah, I heard the realtors started in 1947 in Florida. It only took 2 years to get all the way over here to California. Was that by horseback?
Well,
How did information travel?
it took a minute.
But that's not long in that time.
Well, it wasn't. It wasn't. President Carson was on top of that. But see, we have local boards international that was organized.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Chicago.
older than the national.
Chicago. Yeah, they let me know.
That's older than the national.
Yeah.
I believe Atlanta may be one of them, and I know Brooklyn, New York is one of them. That's older than the national.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Chicago was the one telling me. They wanted me to know they were 80 years old.
That they may be.
So
Well, that's the interesting thing about Chicago now that I share with you real quickly. Chicago, under the auspices of George Harris, I think our third president,
Okay.
he negotiated and staged the first Black Trade Association meeting in a white hotel in Chicago in 1953.
Okay.
1953 at the Conrad Hilton Hotel. That was negotiated by Mr. George Harris, our third president.
Well, that's good.
Okay, he said, now, before then, the first convention we were in a church in Atlantic City, and the second was in a church. But the third one, we were at the Conrad Hilton in Chicago.
There we go.
But they wouldn't put us all in one hotel now. But at least
But you were there for the conference.
we were there for the conference.
Yeah, that's all right. They learned their lesson now. lot of history there. That's awesome.
Yeah. We are situated. We're an institution now, and we are the oldest and the largest minority trade association in the nation. Okay.
And the only one with our trade name. So we have a lot of great history. And, speaking of our great history, we had some information that was put in this book, which is the Enduring the Pursuit for Democracy and Housing. This is our NARAD book.
Yes.
And I know that, the first edition is always like the starting point, right? So if you could come in and write a chapter in that particular book, what would you want to highlight for the historical content of NARAD?
I don't know, because I don't know what's in there.
Well, maybe it's in there, maybe it's not. What belongs, whether it's there or not?
It belongs. The history of NARAD should not be owned by anybody.
Okay.
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 And that's one of the problems, bigger problem I have with that book.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. Now that's come in many different ways.
Yeah.
Years.
We got
books aside.
we got work to do there, and we're in a position to do this. But let me say this before you go again. We have been blessed all around. Okay. We have served in every possible capacity in NARAD. And many capacities at KRAD. And many at Consolidated. When we came here, the committee, one of the first committees that I got on was the housing committee here. And our job, we purchased this building in 1972. It was rough. It was in the rough. In 1973, I chaired the committee. 27, 28 years old. Chaired the committee to raise the funds to refurbish this facility.
Okay. Well, thank you.
To refurbish this facility.
Thank you very much.
It had been vacant and it was in the rough. And we sold houses. We did dinners, the whole 9 yards. To furbish this particular facility, including me getting on the top, painting and every other thing. I was a general contractor and I was an engineer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we did that.
All right, thank you so much. I'm trying to keep your legacy alive.
You are indeed. And further to that, you know, in my waning years, I came from as modest as you could become as a realtist to probably one of the biggest honor that you could have in the area. I chair arguably the most influential committee in the NAREB organization.
Yeah.
The National Council of Past Presidents.
Yeah.
The National Council of Past Presidents. They don't get me in that.
Now, let's see if you can give me a secret or two. When it comes down to chairing maybe that committee or just in general, what community impact are you looking forward to witnessing? And what are you looking for out of your current president, your future presidents? What is the goal in furthering the mission?
Well, the goal of furthering the mission is to stay in the now.
Okay.
What's in the now? We need housing now. I mean, what I want to see my board and my president be on the point of is this housing opportunity that's coming about as a result of this election.
That's right.
Housing.
There we go.
Housing.
Keep it fresh, son.
Keep it fresh in the now.
Excellent.
Housing. I mean, you know, we're somewhat, praise God, running out of excuses. Well, we got a black mayor that many of us know personally. And you know, when funds come into the city from Washington, well, you're going to come through the city and block grant and however they do that. My president and this administration got to be there.
There we go. That's right.
You got to be there.
Love it. Always. Always right there.
Got to be there. Yes.
So we talked kind of a little bit about our history, but I think you had some additional history because you said after the 1968 Fair Housing Act that we were influential in. That was with King. Do you have any history about us working with King, or you wanted to talk about 1987?
Well,
which one do you want to get into?
That fair housing piece, that fair housing amendment. See, we had legislation on the book, but it didn't have no teeth. And this is what this fair housing amendment did, gave it some teeth to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it was there. Yeah, we discriminate. Okay, well, I ain't gonna do it no more. This put teeth in it.
Okay.
And as a result of my position in it, see, I was a Reagan appointee at the time.
That's right. Over transportation, no?
No. Reagan was the president. But I my position was over transportation.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. And we were able to use all of that. I mean, all of the contacts we had. As a matter of fact, we met the then Governor Reagan here Consolidated. Before I met him.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, I was appointed to the California Real Estate Commission through that same source. Here Consolidated, from Consolidated. Okay?
Yeah.
And that went on in Washington, et cetera. But as a result of that, we garnered our chips. And we kept them dry. and when the opportunity presented itself, we were there.
There we go. And what's the name of the 87 bill? SB 55? What'd you say it was? Fair Housing Amendments Act of 1987, S 558. There we go, 558.
That's the cover of it. But this is really the documentation of it.
There we go. Look, we got proof.
Okay.
Real proof in the house.
Okay.
Yes.
And we got a little.
Listen. Flip. How many pages is that? People don't even understand how many pages go into a bill.
It's probably 20, 30 pages. But you can see the front of it there.
Okay. Oh yes, statement by T.L. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, distinguished members. Yes.
That's our testimony.
I am immensely delighted. There we go. And pleased for this prestigious opportunity to offer testimony in support of the Fair Housing Amendments Act of 1987.
Takes all the gamble out of the deal.
There we go.
Went there.
All right, can't take that away from you, huh?
Anybody who's interested in that piece, go online or whatever, there it is. But a lot of things are done. Authenticity. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Now, when you say you dealt with giving teeth to our Fair Housing Act, and we know that Lauren Miller dealt with suing the Realtor Organization for discrimination, as well as trying to desegregate homes. We had Judge Van O. Spencer, when she was an attorney, give us advice on how to purchase in Ladera, you know. We've done a lot of amazing things, or at least, you know, our predecessors have done a lot of amazing things to make the opportunities availed. And like you said, there are no excuses at this point. No excuses at this point. Everything is open. The door's open. You got to walk in. I hear they take FICO scores as low as 500.
Whatever the requirements are,
Yeah.
we have to deal with them.
Deal with them.
I mean, there were times you heard me talk about Mr. Alan Scott when he first in Compton.
Right.
They put the signs up at night, and the realtor would knock them down during the day. Compton. And that's a long way from Ladera, so you can imagine if they didn't want you in Compton, they didn't want you in Ladera.
No, those white people said the Compton was theirs and the airport was theirs. Yeah. Get back, you can't have neither.
And I don't have to tell you about the recent problem they had out in Westchester at the airport. They didn't want y'all there.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
In the school books, I remember a time my principal, we had just moved to D.C., and I went to Jefferson Junior High School, and you had to have a uniform, and I didn't have it for the first day. So she sent me home with a note. Yes. And my father said, well, what does the note say? I don't know. It's addressed to you. I don't know what it says. I didn't read it. It's addressed to you. It's closed. She said, give it to you. I got in so much trouble for coming home with an unread note. And his thing was, I was not the Postal Service carrier. And you cannot walk around with one thing, you don't know what it is, whether it's a backpack full of stuff or a note or whatever. And he told me about history that in the South, they would say, oh, you're free. And since they prevented you from reading, they would write a different type of note. That when they actually found you and you thought you were showing your freedom papers, you were showing, a right to kill. And so black people were getting killed for walking around with notes that they did not read. So I got in big trouble for that. Never made that mistake again. So one of my goals is to ensure that as we talk about Black history, we include the missing pieces. It is something I said at my installation speech. Our generations, our youth, they're watching us. They're requiring us to succeed. They're requiring us to get it right and to document it so that they can know, they can learn. Learn better, learn how to do better, learn what was good. Everything wasn't all bad. So with this particular book, it's called Black History 365. One of the authors is Dr. Freeman. I've been in talks with him about getting some Realtist history in here, right? And so they have great information, actually. I did read at one point where it said the 7 points of, how to suppress the African American. And of course, they weren't nice about who we were. They were talking about slaves, how to keep them obedient. There was a letter once upon a time on how to psychologically keep control over someone that physically was bigger than the master himself. In that regard, Dr. Holmes, if I call them and I say, I want to put Realtists in this book, what cannot be missing? What has to stand? We're standing for democracy and housing, but what piece of our, they say, okay, I'm going to give you 1 page, 2 paragraphs. What can I not miss when I put the information in this book.
What has to be there is the bare purpose of our need to exist, our need to organize. There were no mechanism, tangible mechanism, to support the thesis of democracy and housing. It was a void. We had GIs who went to service.
And couldn't get off at the same time.
Came back.
Yeah.
They had nobody to escort them through the GI Bill.
That's right. That's right.
Not only that, they had no encouragement, but the federal government had in their documentation that for a government-insured loan had to be homogeneous with the community. What that meant?
Redlining.
You could not get a loan unless you were in a community homogeneous to you. Interesting. The federal government. Then they had from the racist homeowners, some of them was forced to move for any number of reasons, but for them to be mean, they would stick a deed restriction in the property that couldn't be sold to an African American.
Right.
It was NARAB. We went to war in the early 50s and cleaned all that mess up.
That's good. I love it. Now, I thought you were going to say something about the Realtist Week.
Well,
What did you think about that?
the Realtist Week in and of itself, everybody got a week.
A week a day.
The Realtist Week is so important for those of us, those of y'all who don't really understand why you need a Realtist Week. Okay? You come a long ways, and we bless you. But we got a ways to go. Okay.
Now, were you instrumental in that time frame as well with Reagan?
I was very instrumental in that time zone. I mean, for the deed restriction stuff? Oh, no. That was back
For Realtist Week
in
1980.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
And what was that like? Was that a conversation, or how did you make that happen?
We got at the time, we got a formal proclamation. We got a formal proclamation, like the White House proclamation. We got a formal proclamation recognizing this is Realtist Week. And that's not hard to do.
Okay. And so, just wanted to tell you, so you stated 40 acres and a mule way back when. And they talk about reparations now and all that good stuff. So in this book, there's a piece on this, broken promises and reparations. Yeah. And you may have heard Henry Louis Gates Jr. in his article where he talks about 40 acres and a mule, the proposal. It has blown the minds of rebel Confederates and the abolitionist Charles Sumner and Thaddeus Stevens and other radical Republicans. Gates State had been actively advocating land redistribution to break the back of Southern slaveholders' power. Right, okay. So when we talk about reparations today, we have a task force on reparations, and Senator Bradford has been working on it for a few years. I can't actually even remember the first year, right? How do you view that? Is that something that you think can be plausible? I know we were able to do it in Alabama, but California doesn't seem so easily abiding.
What did you do in Alabama?
So the reparations in Alabama, Mark Alston worked with them. They got reparations. So what is it? Cannabis. So that the sale of cannabis became legalized, and what they did is the taxation off of that goes into down payment for black home ownership as a reparation. That was the way they got the funds for it. We got enough cannabis places around here. I don't know. If we could do
What do you think about
reparations?
reparations?
I think it will. I don't think it will ever do what people think it will do. It won't clear up the wound. It won't stop us requiring the conversation. It doesn't mean that it did, things didn't happen. But I do think African Americans, especially those, if I think about those from Tulsa, African Americans should definitely have some kind of tax break or something to, help them financially, because you got a 400+ year start. You made up the rules. You counted us out. Then when we finally got in, you burned our stuff down. You took it from us. So, yeah, I think something. Because we're still at 46% home ownership rate, right? We're still at the same we were in the 60s.
My take on reparation, and I've been consistent over the years.
Mm-hmm.
We had a realtist, Jenkins was his name, out of Detroit, 40 years ago. We never had a meeting.
Microphone.
Ray Jenkins, out of Detroit. We never had a meeting, board meeting, and they were out that he didn't mention reference.
Mm-hmm.
Well, simply stated, there's a debt that's owed. Okay? How do they pay that debt? They got smart people up there. Smart people. We have done marvelous things in this great nation.
Mm-hmm.
When they get committed to facilitate reparation, they can do it.
Mm-hmm.
They can do it. Innovative ways. We did reparation for the Japanese during my lifetime, 20, 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The folks that they took up the coast, took their properties and hold on, y'all.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did. There's a debt that is owed. But you see, not only, and this is interesting, not only are they're not committed to doing the same, they're committed to taking away what you do have.
Right. Very committed.
Okay? Supreme Court in general.
Gentrification. We just changed from one word to the next.
On the above. But I will tell you, there is a group up in the Bay Area. They've been studying reparation for a little while. Mm-hmm. You've probably heard of them. Mm-hmm. Authorized by the state. Mm-hmm. Okay. That debt will remain outstanding until it's been addressed. Mm-hmm. Reparation has to be addressed.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
It has to be addressed. Now, all you smart folks, except y'all, that's outstanding debt with interest.
Mm-hmm.
There was a famous jazz star named Gil Scott-Heron.
Okay.
He talks about reparations in slavery. 50 cents per mule per day. interest on it.
Interest,
It's there, but that has to be addressed. May not come in my lifetime, but it has to be addressed. That is an outstanding debt.
I love it.
Total peace cannot be comforted with that outstanding balance. It's got to be addressed.
Yeah.
It's got to be addressed. There are committees now. I've seen several of them. House committees. Been working on reparation.
Yeah.
Find out about them.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay. I've been talking to Bradford, but I'll see who else is maybe federally.
Federally, I'm talking about federally in the House. It's being addressed, talked about. Well, let's put it this way, it's being talked about.
Talked about,
It ain't being addressed yet. It's being talked about.
Okay.
But once Sister Girl gets there, it may start to be addressed.
Okay.
I can tell you one thing. I've heard Bernie Sanders talk about it. Senator Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
That is an outstanding debt. Okay? And you can't be the great nation that we claim to be with that albatross around your neck.
Okay. Well, I thank you for your time. Is there anything that we did not cover that you wanted to make sure we covered today?
Well, we covered a lot today. You asked me one question in your piece. Who was the president when I came? Grover Burnett.
Consolidated?
Yes.
Oh.
Grover Burnett. He's on the chart.
Okay.
He was president when I came in, the first day I came in here.
Well, what was his initiative? Do you remember?
No, I came in here early. But I got to know him real well. He's from Arkansas. He's from Arkansas. Grover Burnett. You know the Burnett family. It was a big family of them. But Grover was the Burnett.
That's awesome.
Was his president.
And speaking of past presidents, I heard recently, I don't know, I haven't been able to substantiate it just yet, but I've heard that Willis E. Carson had a son and a daughter. Do you know anything about that?
Willis had a daughter. I know that.
A daughter.
I know that. Had a daughter. I knew her. She's a good friend of my brother's. And they lived in Briarwood at the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's seasoned now.
Okay.
She's probably a lot older than you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But all is well?
All is well.
That you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. And in that likeliness, with all our other past presidents, I know Willie Stearns has moved out of the state, but is there any past president that you think of that doesn't get enough recognition or at least spoken of their history or anything that we should be honoring more?
I think we've done a good job.
Okay.
This was one of the reasons that I was emphatic about this building. See, Wallace Bailey, that I got to know really well. I mean, he did this project.
Yeah.
He was on the point. And the rooms, Miss Garcia Tatum, got her number. The hallway here, the Ferguson Hall, the Carson Executive Office, and the Andre Vaughn spot outside there.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that one.
Yeah. Yeah. We should.
Excellent.
You ain't gonna never get away from them.
All right. Good.
Well, you got a lot of pictures in the wall.
Yeah.
They were here.
Yes. Well, may their legacy continue to grow.
Absolutely.
And the same to yours, dear sir. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate you.